Tom Gross, who joins me from Tel Aviv. He's a Middle East analyst. Tom, one of the topics that was on top of the agenda when we were seeing Secretary of State Blinken heading to Saudi Arabia was discussions about the normalisation of ties with Israel. And yet there hasn't seemed to be much comment about that after the meeting. What do you make of that sort of silence?
Well, the Saudis definitely don't want to make anything too public at the present time. I mean, there is a kind of evolving relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Just to remind your audience, Israel signed a peace or a normalization agreement with the United Arab Emirates, and maybe even more importantly, Bahrain, which is a very close ally of Saudi Arabia, under the Trump administration about 3 or 4 years ago. The Bahraini-Israeli agreement would not have occurred without the Saudi blessing. The Saudis, have a lot of influence over the Bahraini government. The de facto leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, wants to move ahead with a normalization with Israel, but his father, who is still the king, has traditionally been more sympathetic with the Palestinians and is reluctant to normalize relations with Israel while the Israeli-Palestinian dispute remains unresolved. Having said that, the MBS also wants to extract concessions not from Israel, but from the United States in order to move ahead with a full peace treaty with Israel.
What do you make of the timing of these discussions when you consider heightened tensions in the Middle East at the moment, the expansion of settlements? Is this the right time to be having this conversation?
Yes, well, I think the timing is more to do with the Saudis having a rather assertive foreign policy recently. Only yesterday, its arch enemy Iran reopened an embassy in Riyadh. The Iranian deputy foreign minister personally attended. Syria, Iran's close ally, is rumored to be opening an embassy quite soon in Saudi Arabia. And also yesterday, the Saudi Crown Prince hosted the Venezuelan President Maduro. Venezuela is another arch enemy of the United States. And of course, China has been increasingly involved with Iranian-Saudi relations, rapprochement, as have Russia. So I think America has taken its eye off the ball a little bit with the Saudis, being distracted with the Ukraine war, also has lectured the kingdom about human rights. And the regime in Riyadh doesn't like being lectured by the Americans about human rights, and therefore moved closer to China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela. So the timing of this visit, and it's a 3-day visit, which is quite a lot by Secretary of State Blinken, is very much to repair relations with Saudi Arabia that America still feels it needs as a close ally for various geostrategic reasons.
Interesting developments. Tom Gross, thank you for your analysis there out of Tel Aviv.